Another night in the Big Ten. Happens to bring in another really good basketball team, one that was picked the season to be the best team in the country. So, looking back at Maryland, Maryland was really good and played exceptionally well. I thought our pace of our offense was a big problem. Our cuts became slow, and it became the movement became slow. It threw off our timing, and we didn't play with the rhythm that we like to play with on that end. But it's hard to overcome 1 for 13 start in the second half. I felt great about our defense. They shot 36% second half, and yet, we just missed some shots. We got the ball where we wanted to open the half, and we've worked here a couple days to try to get better with that. So, Michigan State, obviously everything starts with Cassius. And he's 1A and 1B is Tillman, and Tillman's a guy that does so many things for them. He facilitates offense. He's an elite passer. He's an elite screener. Step out and make a three, and everything starts with those two. We got hurt in the first game with those guys, 6-point game, and it was transition, and it was just getting lost in a couple of matchups in transition. Obviously, going 2 for 28 from the three magnified that. But overall, I was fairly pleased with what we did on the defensive end, other than about a 4-minute stretch where our matchups in transition got exploited. But we'll be a battle, as every Big Ten game is, and we'll have to be very good.
Brad, they're number one in the conference in defense. What do they do so well that makes them that good?
Well, they're veterans. They're old. That's one. There's, other than Malik, there's a lot of a tremendous amount of experience. I think that they do a great job of keeping everything in front of them. They're a deceptively good shot blocking team. I think they average 5.5 or close to 6 block shots a game for a team that truly doesn't have a lot of size. Nothing's easy, and that's when we're guarding, that's the same thing we do. And, they make everything with a contested hand and everything in front of you and everything challenged at the rim with either a block shot or a wall up. And it's what good defensive teams do, is they don't make a ton of mistakes. They keep you off balance a little bit. They throw a lot of some different ball screen coverages at you. They may step out and hard hedge one time, and the next time they go under and play soft. So, it's a sign of a veteran team who's very dialed in on that end.
Trent talked about a key to guarding Cassius is how you defend the ball screen. Just how do you just defend a ball screen against Cassius when he can just hurt you in so many different ways in that action?
Yeah, it's 1 against 5. It's when you've got an elite point guard and they just, the randomness with which they play. It's not just always a set. It's the just hooping, the freelance out of it, and the ball screens, and then it's the handoff coming back, and you can have the two guys involved in the screening action, but if you don't have the other three dialed in, that's when he is effective. And you've got to make things tough for him. You got to be relentless with him. You're going to see 65 or 70 of them throughout the course of a game, and a majority of them you can't make a mistake. He's that good.
Both teams at the top of the league, they've dropped 3 in a row. The last 2, expect a different level of hunger or desperation out of both sides.
Probably, yeah. I think it's there's nothing easy in this league, and I keep saying it. Nothing surprises me when you can win 4, 5, 6 in a row, and and when you if you don't play great, you can get beat. And this league is that balanced. That's why you're going to see 11, 12 teams in the tournament. But I think you'll see a heavyweight slugfest.
What's maybe the balance you're looking for with three-point shooting between Iowa? You said took maybe 6 or 8 too many, and then Maryland, maybe guys passed some up in the second half. Where do you want them to land on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's an exact number, Scott. I think it's more about the quality of how they're coming and when they come. I thought Trent passed up 2 or 3 that we need Trent to take, and Trent's a guy that can rattle off a bunch in a row, and it's the flow with which they come, and the ones that come out of flow and out of rhythm, when you're not sharing it the right way, or you're not moving hard enough, those are the ones that become a little bit disturbing. When you're in rhythm, I'm the biggest fan of the 3, and we took too many of kind of out of rhythm, out of sorts, and again goes back to our pace. Our pace was just off a little bit.
Brad, Michigan State doesn't typically play zone. The last 2 teams have had some success. How do you balance the preparation for that in practice, or do you work on it for this game?
Yeah, I mean, Tom hadn't played a trip all year. It doesn't mean they won't come in here and play any. And our efficiency numbers, KenPom numbers against zone have been elite. And I'll be honest, we got really good shots. The little 3/4 court press changed the momentum of the game, and we got caught in a bad spot once or twice, and then we didn't attack it. We just got really passive. But we keep working on it and continue to work on it, and yet knowing that it's not something they've played a lot of.
Did you see the loss at East Lansing as a turning point for this squad? And after you guys, it seemed that way just because after you guys were able to rile off 6 or 7 straight.
Well, I thought what we did there was we guarded. It kept us in the game, and at that time we really were trying to make a change offensively in terms of getting into some of our ball screen stuff a little more, and yet we weren't efficient. We've become better at it. So, it's it was probably was a turning point, and I thought our kids fought and hung in there, and yet it wasn't a night where we played very well, to be honest.
Is there maybe more emphasis to try and get Kofi established early tomorrow night? Just to get
we've always had that, and that's what's you look at the first game in East Lansing. Georgie took 2 threes and DeMonte took a 3 in our first 3 possessions. And we've got to have an understanding of where we're trying to go, what we're trying to do, everything we do, we try to get the ball as close as we can to the rim and play inside out. And we have a saying, love the rim like the 3. And when you're shooting them quick with 16, 17 on the clock, that's not doing a very good job of emphasizing trying to get the ball where we need it, and we've got to be better at that tomorrow.
The last 2 games, Georgie's had turnovers deep in the backcourt late in games. Anything you have to say to him about that and trying to fix that issue? Yeah,
don't be casual. I mean, just, the one at Iowa was Trent's wide open, nobody within 22 feet of him, and this other one was just an outlet, and that happens, and he's gone his whole career without those, and let's just stay focused and not be casual.
Brad, you are one of a few coaches in the league like Tom Izzo that has the fortune of their son playing on the team. Just wondering, how you guys bond around basketball and how you relish that, especially for Tyler in his last year.
Well, we had an interesting conversation on the road with Roy Williams. Roy had like 4 starting point guards, and Tom and I were in the gym together, and we decided that we would trade his son and my son They would go to North Carolina and play immediately, and Roy in turn was going to, get us golf and a few other favors, and along the way, it's really special. I told Tom's son when we were, after the game at their place, I said, cherish these moments, because it's pretty special to be with your dad, because I said I know he does, and I do every day. It's a pretty cool deal, man. It's pretty cool. We watch everybody else's kids grow up, and we go watch them play. And a lot of times, Tom's been doing this a long time, so he's been able to manage time. I was an assistant coach for a lot of years and didn't get to manage time. I had somebody else manage it for me, so it didn't allow me an option to see my son a lot. And so I think we both relish those opportunities and know how cool it is every day to see our sons every day.
Coach, it had been a while since the State Farm Center had that kind of environment that it did Friday. They were into it early. They kind of fell out of it. But how much does a crowd play into the game?
It's huge. It's why this league's the best. We face that every night we go on the road. I mean, it's 19,000 in Maryland, and I mean, it was that way in Ann Arbor. It was that way in Madison. It was that way. I mean, it's not. So it's important. There's no doubt that the hometown crowd is a big part of everybody's success in this league, and it impacts the game, the energy, the emotion, and unfortunately we didn't keep it going, but it's impactful. We're grateful for them showing up, and they're a big part of what we do.
After the loss in East Lansing, it's come out that there was a players-only meeting, and there was, Iowa called it a players' discussion. Having been a player yourself, what kind of impact can those have if the right guys are talking, the right guys are leading it, and I would assume you're okay with them having it? As
long as they're the right guys, absolutely. That's what this is all about. This is their team. We're us as coaches help guide them and mold them, but this is their team. These are their friends for life, and the memories that they're going to create. So I'm a big fan of those, and it was probably needed at that time, and it's kudos to those guys for stepping up and handling that situation.
Io mentioned Michigan State's defense as a culture, and you've talked about, you guys are similar. Do they offer a roadmap? I mean, they've had a lot of success with that for a while. Can you point to what they've done to some of your guys to get that buy-in on defense, or early, I guess, in your time here?
Do it all the time. I mean, I think any elite team, you look at any elite team, and you're going to find a coach who is very demanding of his players, and they guard. There's not a you can talk offense all you want, but you're going to find a coach that his teams always guard. And there's a reason that Michigan was as good as they were last year. I'm using Michigan. They were the best defensive team in our league. Defense travels, defense wins. And the culture that Tom has and the toughness with which they do things, I love. It's everything that I'm about. There's a reason Bob Huggins has 800 wins or whatever he's got, ungodly amount. They guard. So it's, Bill Self's got 700 now. So they guard. And there's a toughness about with which they do things. And Tom's done it at an elite level for a long time. Thank you.